Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Anfield Index Podcast. I am podcasting to you as ever from my field here in beautiful rural Ireland, and I remain Trev Downey, a very congested version thereof. So apologies in advance for that. However, we have a very, very, very stripped back crew today. Only one of our regulars can join me in this particular slot this week. We've tried, but it looks like we may not have Cam for a while. And Carl's on holiday still. So it's just me and Lisa Marie. So let me ask you, my friend, how you're getting on.
I am also congested. So yeah, this is, I guess everyone excuse us here on episode 332 of the Anfield Index Podcast. Trev and I are sniffling and sneezing in the background. Yes. And it is also very, very, very hot here in lovely Middle Tennessee. But I know everyone's tired of talking about the weather, so I won't say anything more than that.
I was listening to one of my favorite shows. It's a show called The Higher Side Chats, and it's a podcast where it goes from everything from science to magic to conspiracy theory to whatever you're having yourself, and it's just there's a lot of very interesting people that pop up as guests. It's an interview podcast. The guy himself, the host, is looking at moving away from where he is. He's not happy where he is in San Diego, and he's looking to go and get a little bit of land somewhere, hopefully, and set himself up. And one of the places mentioned, I do believe, was Tennessee.
I'm sure everyone, half the state of California has moved to Tennessee in the last few years.
Yes, they have, haven't they? They have, haven't they?
It is amazing. I mean, and of course they love it because, of course, housing prices out there have always traditionally been much, much higher than a lot of other places in the country. And so they've come here and, they're, able to get a much larger house at a much less price and everything else, but it's also driven our housing prices up through the roof, which is just insane. But anyway, yes, half the state of California has moved to Middle Tennessee in the last few years.
Or Texas. I've noticed a lot of movement in that direction for some people possibly, as well. Yeah. From the California region, from New York. That's is it possible? Is Tennessee quite a agrarian state?
It is, and it depends on where you're at. I mean, it's kind of funny. Nashville, you don't have to get very far out of the Nashville area to run into farms and and areas where you can buy land. It's a lot less so than when I was younger and was growing up here. In fact, I love to drive down, and think used to be a farm. There used to be cows there, all over the place that is now homes and shops and whatever. This whole area where I live has grown exponentially in the last 30 years. I mean, just amazingly. I don't have the specific facts here in front of me, but just on a very high level, high schools, which is the secondary schools, here in the U.S. When I graduated from high school, a short time ago, there were 4 public high schools in our county. There are now, I believe, 11 or 12.
Yeah. And
the average size of those is, and I'm going on average, is probably 1,200 students. So just saying that alone just tells you how much this particular little area has grown in the last 20, 30 years.
I think it's just similar everywhere. I mean, I can, there's that really famous old man line from around here where you step out and you go, huh, I remember when this was all fields. But that's exactly kind of how I feel as I drive into my local town, and it's endless estates and expansions. So I guess that's just the nature of things, but it doesn't help really when you're faced with the various pressures, let's say, that we've been under for the last couple of years. It makes things a little bit difficult, to say the least. But look, I mean, it's just a fascinating thing to me, because I'm not really sure about Tennessee as a place. I didn't realize that. I would have guessed that there was quite a lot of farmland, but I wasn't sure. And the only other thing I wanted to ask you about it, and not primarily because I have a possibility of moving, which I do actually, and I've been thinking about it actively for quite a while now. It would have to be really right for me to want to move. But everywhere is a potential location. You find yourself very interested. So you say something like that, like Tennessee is a county in and of itself, right? Or Tennessee is
a state, and then it has, I don't know, 90-something counties.
90-something counties with it. And in that, one of those 90-something counties has now got, what did you say, 11 schools?
Yeah, at least. Secondary schools.
So
that's the secondary schools. Right. That's not counting, yeah. And that's the public ones. I'm not talking about the private ones.
And is it possible then you go to different counties where it's like just mostly farmland or wilderness zones or whatever? Okay.
Yeah, okay. There's areas south of where I live, even, east. Anyway, there are areas where, there would be a county and it would likely only have one, maybe secondary school, public. And I know the school system is probably different, but, you've got the public school system here, and then of course you've got varying and sundry private schools that are often related to one church or another, not necessarily, but oftentimes. And but I'm just talking about the public schools.
See, don't take this the wrong way, but if I was to pick a county in Tennessee to go and move to, it would have to be one of those really, really, really sparsely populated.
Oh no,
ones.
I don't take it the wrong way at all.
Probably as well, like on the side of a mountain or beside a river. I'm not going full Ted Kaczynski, but I would like that idea of a little bit of space between me and my fellow man, unless I choose to go into society and mingle, which I often do, because it's interesting. I think I'm a gregarious person, but at the same time, I've gotten increasingly fond of just having a little bit of elbow room, if you know what I mean.
Yep. Oh no, and I'm very similar. I enjoy being around people and conversing with people, but there are times where I don't really want to talk to people. I tell someone I'm not sure if I'm an extroverted introvert or an introverted extrovert.
It's good. I like that. Yeah. And I guess it depends on the day where you emphasize, where the emphasis lands. I like that.
Absolutely.
What we'll do is we'll pay a bit of lip service to the fact that this is a Liverpool podcast by doing a little bit of talking.
This isn't just you and me having a chat and a catch.
Well, let's face it is, but that's okay. We'll steer the conversation through the Reds for the next while. And look, I'm sort of very well known by those who know me. I'm not a well-known person, but I'm very well known to those who know me that I don't put a lot of store by pre-season, and I famously, again, to those who know me, don't watch pre-season matches. Kind of make a point of it. I know that's been a pain in the arse for Guy, because he's had to do the raws on those sort of, especially those earlier matches, especially that first one. I really felt sorry for the guys. Carl and Jay and himself having to do that. That was difficult. But I can't bring myself to do it. But however, I know, and we spoke last week, that you've called a little bit about it. And I think that last run out where we saw some very impressive striking by our new striker really captured the attention of a lot of people. So I wonder, did you get to see that one? And if you did, what was your takeaway from it? Was there something you really noticed? Because we're going to go through top stories on the website, kind of like what Dave does in his show. Sorry to rob your idea, Dave, but this is what we do when we've only got two of us to talk, and it's
We're not
pre-season.
Rob. We're inspired. We're inspired by his idea.
That's it. We're paying homage to the structure.
We're inspired by you, Dave. You're just so inspirational. But I did catch. All right, I had it on again while I was working, so where like one eye is on it, more kind of listening to it than per se watching it.
And were you coughing and sneezing at this point a couple of days ago?
Just starting to. Yes, I was. Friday was the height of coughing and sniffling and sneezing.
Okay. I'm trying to understand. I'm trying to understand your level of attention here. Is what I'm trying to get. Okay.
Yes.
So the takeaway for you from what you did see, what was it? Just the Darwin story?
Well, it started. Of course, Darwin didn't come on till the second half. So, the group that started the first half was, primarily a team that we would expect, a first 11 that we would expect to start, a regular season match, bar Allison wasn't available so Adrienne was in goal. But other than that, it was a pretty typical, first 11 for us. And, Mo actually scored the first goal, and, and it was a nice little bit of interplay between him and Bobby. And it was just, it's preseason. And so you're taking it all with, that little bit of grain of salt, if you will. But it was just kind of, I happened to look up right at the right moment and, just saw the little bit of interplay between them that, ended with Mo tapping the goal in. And it was just like, okay, that's nice. And then was kind of half watching, but but I caught most of the Darwin Nunes show for the second half. I missed his fourth, the overall fifth goal. I did not see that one because I actually had to take a work call. So I missed the end of the match and that last goal by him. But I saw the penalty, went, okay, that's nice. He's netted his first one for us. And then I saw the lovely assist by my fourth child, Harvey Elliott. And so, but overall the whole game just kind of left me with a very positive feeling walking away from it, if you will. Just everybody looked bright. They looked like, I don't think Red Bull was giving them much of a, much competition, if you will, but everyone just looked like they were kind of doing their thing and getting comfortable and, moving, playing, passing and whatever with each other. And so it was just kind of a nice distraction for my Thursday, if you will.
Yeah, I imagine it was, and I kind of regretted not seeing it immediately afterwards because of a few things, and one of the things, and I don't know how much of this you might have caught, but I do believe in that particular game, this new kid, and he is a kid, 17-year-old Stefan Bajcetic, he just looks really, really, really together. Now, this is not one of those things where I start talking about him as the next whoever, but I was really, really taken aback by how calm and composed he was. A couple of his touches were outrageous. I saw a little compilation video of his contributions, and what was really striking, in the same way actually as your nipper Harvey, was his joy and confidence and bravery in looking for the ball in an area of the field, Lisa Marie, where it's notoriously difficult and there's not much time, which is in that holding central midfield role. He was going looking for the ball and looking to do creative things with it, and I don't know about you, but those kind of things really give me the happy feels.
It does, yes. And I'm sitting there looking at him thinking, okay, this kid's 17 years old. I have a 17-year-old. Why isn't you? Hello, no. But that always just sort of tends to put it in a little bit of perspective for me. But yeah, no, he was. It was him, and then one of our other newer youngsters, Carvalho looked just very bright and on it. And, I think he linked up well with, I think it was that fourth goal for Darwin Núñez. So it was just, there were a lot of things to, I think, put us all overall in just kind of a more positive mindset, and looking to see that, we've got, as we've all known, those of us who tend to be a little more level-headed about things, that there's a lot of, bright spots in this team for us to be excited about as we go into the season. And no, that's not to say that, Harvey Elliott and some of these other younger players are going to start off every game, but they're there, and they're there in the squad for us to have as options as we move through this, what is going to be a very crazy and weird season.
Yeah, that's exactly right. But some things never change. Some things never change. Even in the midst of madness, you can always rely on some things. And if you have a little click on the story entitled 51 Photos from Morning Training on day 2 in Austria, and the first one there is Mo and the new boy Darwin with his luxurious mane trailing behind him. And
yes, it was fun to see it down, wasn't it?
It's tremendous. I love it, and I hope he does lots of that. I hope there's loads of Alice band action going on over the year.
Right, he needs to give Jack Grealish a run for his money.
Yeah. I've always been a fan of the well-employed Alice band. I think it's a good look. So these are all like interesting things. But the thing that I'm taken by, and it's one of the stories on News Now that I just I couldn't help but want to talk to you about, was there's a headline here from Empire of the Cop, and there's a little video that you can watch, and these photos that we've gone to here, they kind of highlight some of it, and the headline is Milner destroying Salah and LFC teammates in pre-season run is a sight to behold. And like, obviously there's going to be a little bit, I think, it wouldn't surprise me if Jimmy paid for this article himself, but at the same time, he is out there absolutely nailing it, right up there in all the fitness metrics. And I know he irritates and frustrates the bejesus out of our pal Dave. And I know that Dave would rather he was somewhere else and not playing football for Liverpool. And I know that doesn't come from a bad place, just a place of him wanting better footballers. But you know that I'm tremendously fond of this man. I think you share that fondness. So it is, like I say, just one of those things that does not change. Mo Salah scores goals. Jurgen Klopp is a loud, boisterous, happy man, and Jimmy Milner will win the training. And it's reassuring, isn't it?
It is reassuring. Although I have to say, the Milner with the beard thing is really throwing me off.
Yeah,
you noticed.
Good.
You noticed the facial hair.
Yeah. What are you thinking?
I'm not sure what's up with that.
Yeah. You see, the thing with Jimmy, with his ridiculously square head, like that jawline, he can get away with anything.
Oh, absolutely.
But it is massively unusual to see any sort of fuzz on there. I agree with you.
No, he's notoriously clean shaven. I mean, oftentimes about the only one in the squad, very much so. Actually,
speaking of clean shaven, I need you to scan down through a few photographs to where you've got like lads doing, the face-offs there against each other, and you'll come to one that features Jordan Henderson. And speaking of clean shaven, what do you make of Naby Keita's new look?
Yeah, I'm that has raised an eyebrow as well. Now I don't know. Not sure what's up with that, but maybe he just thought it would be cooler. I don't know, because I think it's even pretty hot. Looks like it's rather warm over there in the mountains of Austria, which I oftentimes, when I'm looking at these photographs when they're over there, I get distracted by the scenery that's in the background from where that camp is taking place, because it is breathtaking. Absolutely breathtaking. That is Salzburg is on my list of places I want to hit one day.
All
the more reason.
Actually, you and me both, and that's what I want to finish off with, because me and Cam did some holiday chat, and I wanted to talk to you. The last, but again, flicking on down, and this is again where you inform me as the person who is, willfully out of the loop. Like, it'll come to the show with Dave, the transfer show, and I'll spend the hour before the show reading about all the different things that Dave's put in the agenda, so that I don't come off as completely clueless. I'll do that with Jan. I'll do a bit of research. I'll have looked at all the stories that are contemporary, but I can't do it every day in the preseason. I can't do it. I don't care enough to do it during the preseason. But it's been weighing on my mind, and I haven't seen anything I've listened to or read about Alisson. I do see a picture of him training there. He looks like he's training in a solitary fashion, and he certainly doesn't look like he's training in a very full-on sort of fashion. So I'm wondering, what do you think? What have you heard? What's going on with Big Ali? Because I don't want to contemplate starting a season without that guy.
Oh, I know. What I have seen or heard has just been that it was a minor abdominal strain or injury of some sort, and so they're just being very precautionary. Now, you and I, we've all talked in the past about, how truthful maybe reports such as that can be, but the fact that he went to Austria with the team, I think to me that, I would think if it were more serious, then he wouldn't have, because I know Jada and I believe Kelleher and somebody else. Oxlade-Chamberlain all stayed back in Liverpool and didn't go to Austria because of their injuries. So.
Yeah. Well, like you say, just even to see him there doing a few bits, that's a good sign. And once it's low key, I don't really care. Once he's able to be involved from the start of the season, because
exactly.
We just, especially with the Kelleher situation, which is a bit of a worry. I don't know.
I know. Now that I have not heard any details on.
No, because there aren't any. Okay. They just don't get. They haven't been put out there, or at least nowhere official that I've seen. Obviously, there'll be probably someone listening to this who knows a man who works in the canteen or something, and you'll have rumors, but there's nothing official. And it was really notable when you went to look at the stories and the conversations. There was very little coming out about it. So hopefully that's not too serious of a scenario. The big takeaway for me as I scan through these photos is it looks like the usual happy camp. Of course, it's a comparative fun time for guys who are under a lot of pressure in their day-to-day lives most of the time when the season starts. So there's going to be a feel-good factor, but it just does genuinely look like they're having fun, and it does seem to be a thing that Klopp kind of insists on. We always see the bike pictures and stuff like that, but I was talking to Jan about this, and again, just with your even personal experience in work scenarios and working with teams or working with groups of people, I always sort of wondered about the power of these bonding experience, because when I was a younger guy, and when football was when I was watching football as a younger guy, in other words, when Jan Mulby was playing the game, bonding was just going for drinks. Lots and lots of drinks, and getting into trouble and being in the newspapers the next day. That's what bonding was. But now there's different ways to do it. And, we've seen in the past table tennis tournaments, which of course bloody Mo Salah wins, and stuff like that. And I wonder, I can veer towards being curmudgeonly sort of an old git, and sometimes I wonder, are they really of any merit at all, and is it just sort of better to have that kind of good atmosphere going? What do you make of these training camps in terms of morale, in terms of when we see all this stuff coming out from the club over the last while, in fact pretty much since you've been following them, the PR is tremendous. Like
It
those
is.
those little videos that come out, they're genuinely
Have
entertaining.
you seen the latest one
Go
that
on.
that came out this week? And it was I can't remember how they called it, but basically it was old versus young. So it was Milner and the Ox against Harvey and Carvalho. I won't spoil it by saying who won, but they were funny. I mean, it was like the one where they were pouring water in a glass, and
Yeah.
it had to be who could get the closest without actually overflowing the glass. And I mean, they get to where I don't know how many rounds they did, where they're each like just doing like a drop of water into it. So yeah, but I don't know, they just amuse me, and I think because it gives you an opportunity to sort of see them interact off the pitch with each other, and just to kind of get a little, I don't know, peek into their personalities, if you will.
Well, that's kind of where I was driving that very long-winded question, was like, do you think that we're just lucky that we have a manager who's fostering a certain type of culture and employing a certain type of person, and that's what creates that good atmosphere? Or like, would you put a lot of faith in, bonding exercises like that? Because in that traditional way, do you think they're important? I'm very on the fence about the merits of them, to be honest.
Yeah, there's something to, I mean, I think there is something to be, I mean, and I think it's the way that it's done. I mean, there's a way to do it to where it is fostered, I guess, a little more naturally, if that makes sense. As opposed to like, all right, scheduled fun is between,
Yeah.
we're all having fun tonight between 7 and 9.
Yeah.
Everybody
Yeah.
down to the rec room. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and I think doing it with like the ping pong tournament and stuff like that, where, I mean, you've got a group of people together that are obviously competitive. They wouldn't be doing what they do if there wasn't a competitive streak there. But you'll allow them to kind of do it in a more relaxed, manner, or, at least that's the way it comes off. I'm sure they cut out the parts where, if someone starts, really going, they edit that out of the video if, it probably gets a little heated, if you will. But I don't know. I think part of it, I think it is just that culture that, and it's not one of those things that is switched on overnight. I mean, Klopp's been there for, 6 years now going on?
Yep.
And I think it has built, and, you've now got players, who have been there, there's not very many, I guess, that have been there the whole time, but you do, you've just added on to that squad, and as you've brought new people in, this is the culture that they're coming into, and it's just, and I mean, that is one thing that we always do seem to see as the new players come in, that they all seem to be very much welcomed into the squad as, as part of that. And I mean, there's been bits and pieces, I don't know if you've seen any of this, where, apparently Thiago has been helping to translate for Darwin, as his English is not very good, if possibly non-existent at this point in time. So, Thiago has been, from what I've seen from a couple of news stories, he's been translating for Darwin, into Spanish, so that he he has a better understanding of the instructions that are being given. And, and I'm sure that takes place at other clubs, but the fact that we kind of see it highlighted within this club, and it's just one of the things that I love about it, is that these just genuinely seem like a group of nice people. That
yeah, exactly, and funny too. Like, I would watch.
Funny, yes, absolutely funny.
I would happily watch Andy Bravo and James Miller talking for.
Oh, I know.
A couple hours.
They haven't done one of those videos in a while, and I love them because they're hysterical.
They are just good fun. But yeah, you see, I suppose where I was going at was, I think there's a thing at the club where, when you come first, there's a karaoke initiation, right?
Oh, yes.
And quiz nights and stuff like that. And Klopp was asked about the quiz night and the karaoke. And he said, yeah, they're on the agenda. It's not that we enjoy it too much, but you have to go through these kind of things when you're new in the club. We have a couple of new staff members, he says, as well, so it'll be very funny. I don't know exactly when it's planned for, to be 100% honest, but we will find the moment and we'll definitely do it. And these nights are quite funny and quite embarrassing for the guys who have to do it, but that's part of the deal. When you sign a contract in a new club, you have to do these things. Now, I don't think he could have made it seem much more like something that's almost like not quite a chore, but almost like a duty. He's not exactly talking it up there. I get, like nobody likes embarrassing themselves, but this is where I was going with the idea of those kind of traditional bonding things. It's almost like, yeah, okay, we'll take that box, but like you said, the real way that we get to see that there is a proper sort of collectiveness within this group is when we see these little videos from the club. They do a lot more to show you that kind of, player X really clearly enjoys the company of player Y, or player Z thinks player Y is a bit daft, or that kind of thing. Even when they did the little video where there was a bit of inverted commas acting from Hendo and Joel Matip and Bobby.
Oh, that's one of my all-time favorites. That is the most funny. Things. I mean, not just the actual one, but then they do I'm sure you saw the outtakes, which were even more hysterical.
I did.
Yeah.
And also, I replay anything with Joel Matip speaking as often as possible.
I know, because not so much now, but I remember first watching that. That was not what I expected his voice to sound like at all.
Not at all. It's just enjoyably comic to listen to Joel hold forth on anything. So. Like I say, the website itself has very little at the moment because we're in between these two. There's another friendly. When is that?
Thursday or Wednesday, maybe.
Yeah, a couple of days time, and but we roll then into the Community Shields, the friendly the day after that, and then we have 5-6 days for recuperation and recovery and preparation for the start of the season. And it's highly likely that we'll do our show again sometime, either towards the end of this week or whatever, and we'll have will you care about the Community Shield? Here's a really interesting question, because Pep Guardiola refers to this as a title, and he always includes the Community Shields in the trophies that he's.
Of course, he does.
This is his thing. Like, as far back as I can remember, it was always looked on as a glorified friendly and not to be taken too seriously. A good run out, a bit of a prestigious thing, and whatever, a prestigious occasion because it used to be at Wembley, all that kind of thing. But I don't know if I care, and frankly, I'm a little bit put out at the potential of having to play City in any way, shape or form where I don't think we'll be 100% at the races, because I don't want any cracks in our armour before the season starts. I don't want to feel in any way inferior to them or have them think that they can lord it over us, or have Erling Haaland balloon 4 goals into the back of the net or something. It just, I'm not looking forward to it, to the extent that I'll barely watch that. That'll be probably the only preseason game I'll watch. And you'll notice I'm calling it a preseason game, not a title, Pep. But where do you stand on the Community Shield and its comparative importance, and this one in particular, considering who we're going to be up against?
Yeah, I mean, I have never put any I guess importance on it. I mean, you're right. I think it is. It's a preseason. It's another preseason match is the way I have always viewed it, in the last few years, I guess, since I've started kind of paying attention to preseason a little bit anyway. But yeah, I'm with you there about, I'm not really excited about us having to play City for it. Because it could be interesting. I don't know. I mean, pros and cons, I suppose. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I mean, we can come at it from any number of angles and narratives that we wanted to put put against it. I'm not going to be able to watch it. I mean, I can tell you that right now. I've got something else going on that day at that time, so I won't be able to watch it, at least in real time. And it's just, yeah. And what really intrigues me though is the friendly that we have scheduled like the very next day. That's weird.
Yeah.
And I know I've heard somebody, possibly you and Dave Davis or some others, talk about, why in the world and what maybe the thought was behind doing such a thing. I mean, you've got to think that, it's obviously whoever plays on Saturday is not going to play on Sunday. So it's interesting. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what team plays, who plays against the Man City in the Community Shield versus, and then whoever else plays the following day. But yeah, I'm just kind of like, oh yeah, whatever, that's coming up. And you're right. I do agree with you. I don't want to see Holland score 3 past us, and, maybe the only saving grace would be if Allison, for whatever reason, is available and we can just put it down to, oh, well, our best goalkeeper wasn't in the net. But, yeah, it'll be interesting from just kind of what it means to them versus what it means to us standpoint.
I think that's probably what it's going to be, really, like, if we're being perfectly honest. And like I say, for that reason, for me, and it's not about lack of faith in our team. It's about, look, we're not ready yet.
Yeah,
exactly. Like it's so fascinating. Like, in all the years I've been doing the show with Jan, he always says that it's like it's a couple of games into the season before the rhythm is there. So I just don't like the idea of that lot at that early stage of the season with people putting any weight on it whatsoever. That's what kind of bugs me a little bit about it. There was one other thing from Klopp here that I wanted to bounce off you and just see what you thought in relation to, at this stage we're looking ahead. The season is but a concept, and it's all ahead of us. He was asked about the great achievements of last year and so near and yet so far type of thing, and he was asked, how convinced are you that the squad can do it all over again? Now, I think I'd like to get your reaction to this. He says, no, I don't have to be convinced about anything. He says, I know that it's possible. It's not extremely likely, but we realise now that it is possible with luck here and there, especially in cup competitions. You need luck to get through all the rounds. We scored late goals and all these kind of things. So we know that it's doable, but not very likely that another team or we will do this again. But we will just play it game by game, starting with the Community Shield, then the Premier League. At some point, the League Cup will start, Champions League will start. So yeah, it will be tough. It was very tough, but we enjoyed it as well. So it was not only tough, there were a lot of moments where we thought, wow, it's a pure privilege. We really enjoyed it, but who knows what will be. Now, at the end there's a little throwaway thing that he does that always I like it about Klopp, and it's why I don't think the Shankly comparisons are that out of whack. Shankly has that famous speech where he's talking to the people assembled at Liverpool City Centre, and he's saying, I've drummed it into these boys time and again that it's an honour to play for you, that it's their privilege to play for you, and I love that Klopp went there at the end of that. In the midst of all the cliches, he was able to stop and think, Jesus, I mean, this is very special, and we are lucky to be in this situation. And I think when you've got that kind of level of self-awareness, Lisa Marie, I think that leads me to think that it is possible that we can go deep in multiple competitions again next season, because they're clearly a group of guys who are very excited about the prospects of what they can do, and more to the point, enjoying the bloody thing.
Absolutely. I mean, as you were reading that, I was thinking, how typical Jurgen Klopp is that whole statement.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing. I mean, the fact that, overall it was very positive, but also overall he was saying words without really saying anything. And I mean that I don't mean that in a derogatory way in any way, shape, or form, but he does have that gift of saying stuff without really saying anything at all, which is a talent. And but I do. I mean, when you think about it, we've got all the pieces to be able to do again this season what we did last season. Go far, if not to the final in all 4 competitions. Now, a lot of it is luck to a certain degree, just, people not being ill or injured at the wrong times, at the wrong points in the season. So, I mean, there's some things that you just don't have any control over. But, as far as the squad that we have this season versus the squad that we had last season, I think we're in a lot of ways better set up to be able to go far in those competitions. I don't know what you think, but the addition of,
I agree.
Some of the, the new players we have in and just, and I've said this before, and I don't mean for it to be, I guess, derogatory in any way, but our fantastic traditional front three of, Salah and Mane and Firmino had gotten, I really think, a bit predictable. And the fact that we've now got, I think that's what stood us in such good stead to go far last season, is we were able to bring in, Luis Diaz, and of course we had Jota, and, and we had some different tricks up our sleeve, if you will, that, just maybe set our opponents, a little, they didn't quite know what to expect from us. And so I think even more so this year with the addition of Darwin Núñez and, and everything else, I think we've, that's a stronger tool in our arsenal, if you will, to be able to, where, okay, they're not going to necessarily know who we're going to put out on the field and where they're going to be playing, because we've also, got these players that can play in kind of different positions at different points in time. So I think it's very exciting. It's just very exciting. And I mean, I have every hope that we're going to go as far in the Cups and the Champions League and the, in the Premier League this season as we did last season.
Yeah. And I saw somebody creating a bit of a reaction there on Twitter earlier on, saying that, basically the gist of it was that we should have won more trophies in this era, and more money should have been spent to ensure that happened. But regardless of the money angle, I agree wholeheartedly that I want, and I think we should have more trophies than we do. This group of players deserves it, and I really, really hope that this coming season sees us get one of the 2 major ones, because that's ultimately how history will remember this side. And I think it's really, really important. And I just want to finish with a really kind of weird story, because one of the players that we've been linked with all over the summer very heavily is Jude Bellingham. And a lot of people have thrown various things from their prams about why we haven't gotten it done, or then other people are saying, be calm, we'll do it next year. And I can't get down with either of those stories. Neither of those stories interest me. We don't have the money, we can't afford it. I don't care. I'm not interested in that. We'll do it next year. I've got a year. I could be dead next year. You know what I mean? So I was really taken by this story where it says Dortmund make Bellingham decision that could jeopardise £100 million Liverpool move. And the gist of it is, this is a story which is on HITC, written by a dude called Dylan Walsh. He's reporting from Kicker in Germany, and he's talking about how the head coach there, Edin Terzic, has made the shock decision to make the 19-year-old midfielder Dortmund's third choice skipper, with Marco Reus retaining the armband and Mats Hummels acting as deputy. And he goes on to write a full article. I mean, there are fully 6 or 7 more paragraphs here about how this decision could well throw a spanner in the works for Liverpool's plans to sign him, because it might be an indicator that he's hugely valued now at Dortmund, and the responsibility of being third captain will make him all giddy and he'll want to stay there. I really don't get the gist of what he's saying, but it seems like they're reading a lot into this. And here I am coming again with this roundabout way of asking you a question, which is, as we are approaching, like I say, this is our penultimate pre-season podcast that we'll do together. So it seems as appropriate a time as any. We'll do plenty before the window shuts, but do you feel, on the back of what you've just said about, optimism, do you feel that there is an area that does need addressing there in that midfield? Because I know you've said it in the past, I think you were kind of on the same page with me, but do you feel that it's one of those ones where it could be a make or break? Like, in previous seasons we've been light in defence and that kind of cost us and that type of thing. Do you feel it's going to be critical, or do you think we have enough there between our new attacking talent and the fact that we have a wide variety of midfielders if they can maintain their fitness? Like, are you uneasy going into the season not having addressed that one area, which we know is a priority from the start? Or do you have a level of calm about it now that you've just kind of put it out of your head? Because I think a lot of people have done that. So just wondering where you're landing on it.
All right. First of all, I would absolutely love to have Jude Bellingham as part of the squad for the season. I think it's fairly unlikely, just because you have to wonder, would Dortmund really want to let him and Haaland go in the same window? It's 2 key components to their team, but I don't know enough about who they've brought in, or honestly about how, as a team overall, that they set up. So, from what I'm hearing, it's a strong possibility that it may be like with Naby Keita a few years ago, where the deal is agreed this year for him to come next year. But that's not, a done deal in any way, shape, or form yet either. So if he can't come this year, and that looks, I would say increasingly very, very likely that, we're not going to see him this season, I would like for us to have somebody else, but I honestly don't know that we will, unless, I would say if Oxlade-Chamberlain does end up going somewhere, then there's a possibility for us to bring somebody in as kind of an additional depth player. But now with, Ox picking up another injury, I would say it's kind of unlikely that he goes off somewhere this year. I don't know. You never know, because they've never really said how serious that injury was that he picked up over in it was at I guess it was when they were in Singapore. So I don't know, but I don't think it's impossible for us to be able to go far if we don't bring anybody else in, but I would like somebody else in just to, I guess, hedge our bets a little bit, if I could say it that way.
Yeah, listen, that's kind of where I am too. I have to say, it's like I feel like I could easily be accused of being entitled or being a spoiled brat, but to the person who would accuse me of such, I would simply say I want to win things now, and I don't really care. I don't care about bottom line and long-term stability and finances. It's not that I don't think they're important. I don't care. So it's a subtle difference. It's a subtle difference. I don't have to care, so I'm not going to care. So that's where I am on that. But look, I did say I'd only keep you for 45 minutes, and I've already gone 5 minutes over. So I want to let you get back to your evening. And hopefully when we're both on the microphones next, we'll be a lot less unhealthy sounding than we currently are. Again, apologies to folks for my nasal voices. I know it's probably very irritating.
Trev, as if your voice could ever be anything other than fantastic.
I did not set Lisa Marie up to say that.
I know he didn't, but I'm just going to tell him. You did not absolutely set me up.
And I've also just realised I've had the window open throughout. So if you heard heavy machinery going past, what do you want from me? I live in the country, so I apologise. It's hot, and I can't have a fan on, so that's where we're at. You
probably also potentially heard like the room where I'm at shares a wall. The laundry room is on the other side, so I know my husband was in there shifting stuff into the dryer and making the most amount of noise that he could possibly make when he knew I was in here doing this. I'm like, for the love. So yes, if you heard banging going on, I mean, I tried to mute it if I wasn't talking at the time, but sorry. I should just be thankful that I have a husband that will do laundry, and I am, ladies, absolutely am.
There you go. That's probably the correct note to end that particular conversation about your spouse on. Is that he's a good guy. So look, like I say, we will wrap it up for today, and I do really appreciate you doing the show, because like I said, we have a little bit of an issue now in terms of the regulars. Carl wasn't available for a long time. It looks like Cam mightn't be now. And people do like stability, and they like the things they're familiar with. And and I made a balls of the show that we had planned to do, or the chat we were having, where I kind of left you hanging for an evening there, not knowing as well, because I didn't hit send like an idiot. I do really appreciate you doing it. It's Sunday evening. We've all got stuff that we're going to be getting back to. So thanks for that, Lisa Marie. And it is always appreciated when you make the effort, and it's great to have you as part of the regular team. And who'd have thought, when we did those first couple of shows together, that here we'd be just doing the show, the two of us, keeping the show on the road. So I do like the way things have turned out. So look, we should wrap it up there. We will have a more traditional type of show next time out, with our usual intros and all the rest of it, but it'll still be a pre-season, so there will probably be holiday chat. I wanted to talk to Lisa Marie about holidays, but we'll do that in the next show too, because like I said, it's more important we stick to our ridiculously predictable running time, so we're going to do that. So thanks to Lisa Marie. I've been Trev Downey. This has been the Anfield Index Podcast, episode 332, as Lisa Marie informed us. Next week will be 333, which means I'll have all the conspiracy theories in the world rolling in.
Yes.
Oh, there'll be some Mason talk. You can be sure of it. So stay tuned for that. I promise to lay it on thick, and we'll speak to you then.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index, and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.